I just remembered it was Officer LaRue was the third witness, right? Uh-huh. For the state during that court hearing. Now, of course, I just had myself, and I know that I hadn't violated the protection order. And when you're sitting there and you're watching the hearing going on and you're listening to what the witnesses had to say, well, there was Officer LaRue that said, well, I arrested him. Yeah. Because of a police report that had violated the protection order where I hadn't violated it. I had just called them to find out if they got the documentation of Guam that I had done diversion. Yeah. I was never convicted of any domestic violence or child abuse. Then there was Leslie Bond, a manager at Healthy Families of Clallam County. Yes. Didn't. Oh, oh. Well, somebody from Healthy Families had called the police. Yes. Alleging, and when I was found not guilty, I thought, well, how does that fit into the evidentiary rules of evidence, Mr. Calgill? The prosecutor during that trial, and then the prosecutor of the two-count criminal complaint in Swim, Washington, where I wasn't there. Poach. And then there was Heidi's lookalike. Yeah, it actually wasn't my wife, but when you're on trial for the allegation of violating a protection order, yes, where there was no actual due process in 2011, yeah. The last thing you want to say to the judge is, that's not my wife. Phew. See, when you run in and you have these declarations, my husband's crazy. Yeah. He thinks everybody's microchipped and we're all a part of a conspiracy to get him because he's being persecuted for his personal beliefs. You don't really say, well, that's not my wife sitting on the witness stand, Poach. But I can get the video and the audio of it, and I can have deposition Judge Porter. Do you know the actual identity of my wife? Do you know who she is? Does Mr. Cowgill or Miss Cochran or does Mr. Nichols know the actual identity of the individual? Yes, that you said was the victim of domestic violence. Now, when you don't give any notice of court hearings in 2011, yes, and you don't give me the opportunity to say anything, and you decide that you're just going to cover up your crimes, yeah, there could be some hearsay involved in all of this. Exactly who was in Brendan, Washington on June 16th of 2017? Now, I'm the party that you say is crazy. Could you get me the National District Attorneys Association and every district attorney everywhere in the nation that if you filed a criminal complaint against me, yes, I would have the right to be able to say in court that is not the actual identity of the victim. But the court seems to think that you don't have the right to question the actual identity of any witness. Yes. But knowing what I know about my wife, okay, I lived with her for 10 years. Did anybody in Clallam County have any idea of exactly who my wife is? Now, Part 4 discusses the law involving the admissibility of out of court statements and reflecting the right to literally confront a witness at trial. It would have been something, wouldn't it, Judge Porter? Yes. If I had confronted the witness on the witness stand, yes, I had jumped up, blurted out that that's not my wife. Poosh. Now, as a judge, bailiff right now, I would have been in handcuffs. Probably would have had to gone through some sort of restoration treatment. I would have been in a mental facility since then. Because you never question the actual identity of any witness in any trial. Now, since I didn't have the availability of actually saying anything in court, why don't you get me all of those attorneys in the District Attorney Association for the last 40 years? Yes. And then get me their attorney oaths, their oaths of admission. Yes. And any of their assets that they thought, well, we don't really need them. He can have my assets. Now, Part 5 discusses the appellate review issues for the confrontation clause. Yes, I think I should have the right to confront anyone that's not the actual identity, yes, of the petitioner. Since I don't know if she was there because she didn't sign it, yes, she doesn't know. See, when I say there's forgeries on court documents and you say, well, we just can't look into that, yes, let's say it wasn't the ex officio Superior Court clerk. Exactly who was it that was listening to the whole court hearing? Ooh, there could be the bailiffs in Clallam County that like to spend a large amount of time in prison. Yes, for being co-conspirators. I would think there'd have to be a bailiff in the family court hearing. Yes, and since I've never actually spoke to the court commissioner. Yes, because he never gave me actual notice of court hearings. Yes, in fact, the truth is. I only spoke to Ken Williams at a Safeway once. Yes, I didn't get notice of court hearings of the default dissolution of marriage. No, you didn't get notice of that. I didn't get notice of court hearings in front of Judge Rohr. The right to confront the petitioner about what she wanted from the judge. Yes, he did. It looks to me like as long as a woman can get you to believe that her husband is crazy, you have no right to confront the individual known as the petitioner. Yes, the victim. Yes, the restrained person. Yes, you have no rights at all.